Guys, Atalanta are Europa League champions. First ever major European final, and they did it in style. Bayer Leverkusen, never beaten this season. 51 games. Atalanta dominated for 90 minutes. 3-0 win, hat-trick of Lookman.
Gasperini is finally a winner, guys. You heard it here first. And they played there's very few matches that you can say a team played perfect. And I think you could put Atalanta in this match completely outplayed Bayern in every aspect possible. This is incredible.
Mike, why don't you apologize? Because the last time,
Apologize for what?
we have to apologize because
Why
Gasperini, he was not a winner to you until a couple of days ago.
What's a winner to you, Anto?
A winner
He
is
wasn't a
somebody
winner. Now he's a winner.
He's a displays beautiful soccer.
No, that's not. That's not what a winner is.
He took the school, what's his name? Xabi. He took him by hand and he took him to
But playing
school.
beautiful football does not make you a winner.
These guys
Anto.
listen to what I said 2 seconds before we
You
went
know?
live? Guys, I said we'll get into it a little bit later.
This guy's attacking me from
Mike,
the
you take the
get.
bait like nothing.
Giampiero, you know that I'm one of your biggest estimatore, and congratulations. Auguri, you deserved it.
Yeah, I definitely deserved this.
So what is this? 60 years, I think, when the last time that they won I believe they won a Coppa Italia.
Yep,
Like
1961.
Yeah, sometimes more than 60 years ago. So this was a long time coming, and it's a beautiful thing for the city, for Bergamo, for the Tifosi, for Italy, for us that will live far away from Italy. I mean, it's a great celebration, and to see this team, beat not only the Bundesliga champions, but a team that had been undefeated in 51 games. It's like these guys can never lose. I mean, if you think about it, they're never going to lose.
According to who?
And
To
if
those
they,
guys,
And if they
not
lose
me.
1-0, so what? They're going to come back. And if they lose 2-0, so
they're
what?
gonna
They're going to
come
come back. Well, not tonight. Tonight,
That's right.
they did not come back. So great job by the team. It was a perfect game by the players. I mean, I can't believe Oppmeyers and Anderson in the midfield there.
Ederson was ridiculous.
I'm telling you, they were just.
How many Edersons were on the pitch tonight?
Yeah.
There must have been 2.
He covered every facet of that field.
You mentioned one thing that is something that we've said here on the podcast for quite some time. Before we go detailed on tactically, because I think
Okay.
there is a lot to say tactically, it's Atalanta being the pride of Italy. I mean, this is a club that was bouncing between Serie A and Serie B for most of its career as a club. And since 2016, since Gasperini took over, and with Percassi at the helm, they've truly built something that every single team in Europe could be proud of. Every club can model it. All the Italian clubs, even when they've sold off players, they bought guys for a quarter of the price, and they perform better than anywhere else they went in their entire career. And to the discussion of Gasperini and being a winner and that conversation, everything that he's done until this point has been incredible. And I don't think there's anybody in football who's contributed more to the sport and contributed more to calcio than Gasperini. His influence from all the young coaches, Gilardino, Palladino, Italiano, they all credit Gasperini as one of their inspirations. And he was never rewarded with a trophy. Most of the time because he was not in the situation to win a trophy. He didn't have the team that was always better. We could talk about the Coppa Italia final and the way that game played out. That's one thing. But for him today, to get the recognition and to get the flowers that he's deserved for years, I think is something special and something that we need to be proud of.
Yeah, I think if we take the Champions League teams, how much money does Atalanta spend? I don't know.
18th place Premier League team spent the same amount of money as
18
Atalanta
plays.
net.
Okay,
A
so
relegation Premier
so
League
the
team.
18th place team in Premier League spends the same amount of money as Atalanta, and Atalanta is number 1 in Europe.
Europa League.
In Europa League. So if we take those teams from Champions League, the top, let's say the top 15 teams from Champions League, we can compare. I mean, this is it is almost an impossible task to do, to be the best team in Europa League with that amount of money that you spend. So that's something to do with the organization. I mean, we were listening before to the broadcast, and they were talking about how good this team is and how together this team is, from the president all the way to all the players. They really a group that is together, and they fight for one another, and they even made before they said that even though the Rune was not playing, Jim City went to get the trophy because he was supposed to get the trophy, but he did not raise it up in the air until the Rune was also there, and both they raised it up in the air. So that's something that shows what kind of club they are.
De Rune is it's an unfortunate story because he's somebody that since 2015 has given absolutely everything for the jersey and for Atalanta in general. And the fact that last week against Juventus he gets injured and he misses their most important match of all time. And he's not the official captain. Toloi is the captain, but he is the captain, and he is the symbol of what Bergamo is and his commitment to the club. And even the fans, they put out a banner in front of his house saying your attachment to the jersey, the fact that you always left your shirt full of sweat, you're already a winner in our eyes, and you've played that most important battle. Tonight for him, that he's given them so much, the fact that the players were able to give back to a teammate who oftentimes had to sacrifice for them, I think is another beautiful storyline.
We are, as you guys all know, we are best friends with Ricarda, De Rune's wife.
Best friends, like we just had lunch with them.
Yeah, we just, Ricarda, it's like family with us.
What's her middle name?
So, De Rune. Ricarda, congratulations to you. We know that you were suffering, and you know that Martin was suffering because not being on the field for Martin de Roon is a big thing. And I know even though it was suffering into the bench, he did the very best for this team the entire time that he spent in Bergamo, not the entire season. This guy here, it's day in and day out, the symbol of Atalanta. You can say, I mean, this over the year. Is the only one that stands up. The only who does is any other player that if I ever somebody asks me, Antonio, who do you remember about Atalanta 10 years from now? I would only remember De Rune. He's really the symbol of Atalanta, the symbol of Bergamo, the symbol of the passion that Atalanta displays on the field. And congratulations to him, regardless of the fact that he had to be sitting on the bench, but suffering because the guy is suffering. I know that De Rune is the guy that wants to have the hands on and he wants to put his cleats on the grass. So he deserves it. He really does. And the tribute that all the fans and the players and the colleagues they gave it to him. That's a big it's the proof that it's all well deserved.
For sure.
Yeah. Should we go in tactically
to
how Gasperini absolutely picked apart this team, where from minute 1 to minute 94 they were dominant. And when Atalanta went up the first goal from Lookman, and then even when they went up the second goal from Lookman, because of the way that Leverkusen have been deemed Neverkusen, because of the fact that they've always been able to come back, even when it's late on into a game, we still were a little on edge, saying let's be careful. Can Atalanta press this way for 90 minutes? And they found a way to do that. The man marking, the way that every single player was in the proper position and didn't stop fighting, and even didn't give the space in behind, which was my big worry for this Leverkusen. We listened to Xabi Alonso's press conference, and he said, I never expected them to press that way from the first minute.
I think it was also big that even when they stopped pressing, when the momentum shift, Atalanta were still so organized and they didn't let them take any real shot on target. They didn't let them really overlap. They had a guy on every person, and they made sure that they were man-marked to a T. And that's when it looked like, wow, Leverkusen is they finally found a game that they cannot find a solution to. And that's all credit to Gasperini's tactics. That's all credit to Atalanta's willpower. And I think that loss against Juventus really fired them up, saying, listen, we lost that game where we were favorites. We got to come back on this one and show what Atalanta's worth. And they really put a huge flag for all of Italy and for everyone that counted them out. A lot of people, obviously, in the studio, even when they're up 2-0, we're still nervous. They didn't want to. That's
goal.
What I'm saying. So
Antonio was the only one who
once
it got to the 65th minute, Antonio was like, all right, we'll be good. Dad, tactically, you kept talking about the match. When you were watching, you kept noting stuff. What was it?
So even at halftime, I was listening to the commentators, and they were saying, well, they pressed well, but they cannot do it for 90 minutes. Well, I tell you one thing, they did it for 90 minutes. And the 90th minute, they were putting pressure. So this guy, Xabi Alonso, he didn't know what hit him today. Because when you go back and you let and you give the space of the other team, especially in the midfield, to get the ball, to turn around, to watch, to make a cross, to see who's open. Well, when you pressed, and even right outside the area, they were pressing them, they had no way to go. Every pass that they made a mistake. It was like they didn't know what was coming to them. They couldn't put 3 passes together. They only had one chance in the whole goal. And then Atalanta played fantastic. From Ruggeri. I mean, this guy Ruggeri, I mean, he was unbelievable. And like we said, Anderson and Koopmeiners, they play spectacular. And Lookman, what can you say for Lookman? I mean, the guy, he played, this was the perfect game. And a lot of the credit, and I have said it before, you're a great coach, you're a good coach, but you're not a great coach until you win this type of games. And now Gasperini, after so many years that he's at Atalanta, he's playing great. You know, he has won a lot of games, but this is the game that is going to put him over the top. Exactly. This is the game. Why? You played against Juventus. You lost against Juventus. The players were down. To have a team come into the locker room and you have to talk to them and you have to let them believe, hey, we got another final coming. And to put them in that level mentally, it's not easy. And he did it. And he had a perfect game. So tactically, he had a perfect game. Mentally, he had a perfect game. Physically, even though he had a couple of players out, he had a perfect game. A lot of it, the players were fantastic, but a lot of it, it's attributed to him because the way he prepared the team. And I was listening to him before, and he was saying, you know, the players, they come here, and it's not easy to tell the players, oh, you have to do better, you have to do this. He goes, yeah, they'll do better for one game, and then the next game, you know, but what is it? What is it that your players, they keep this high standard? And, you know, he said, listen, I talked to them, and I tried to make him understand that if you want to get to the next level, there are certain, you have to be at a certain level all the time. And if they do it, fine. If they don't do it, then they're not going to get to the next level. So a lot of credit goes to all the players, but a lot of credit goes to Gasperini.
Yeah. Antonio, since the day we started this podcast, you've always been obsessed with Gasperini. You've always said that he's the real maestro. What'd you make of this final, and how happy are you for him that he's the oldest coach, 66 years old. He was the oldest coach to ever make a European final for the first time. He's now the oldest coach to ever win it. All right, guys, we interrupt this podcast to tell you that we still have merch available. You see Antonio wearing the beautiful Italia hat. The Euros are getting very close. We also have this jersey that's going to be released June 7th. Too? They can see your shirt. We have flags that are still on the site. We're so close to being sold out of everything. As I mentioned, the quantities have just been improving and improving. So the fact that everybody's been able to sell out, has been able to help us sell it, is a pleasure. Thank you so much for that. ItalianFootballTV.com to get some of your merch.
And where did they see the merchandise? Is at the bottom of the top, or what is it?
The top of the description, Anto.
Do they have the subscribe, press, whatever?
If you can like and subscribe, and rate us 5 stars.
Like and 5 stars. Is there anything more than 5 stars? 6 stars, 7 stars? 5 stars.
Follow me, Cinque Stelle.
Cinque Stelle. 5 stars, okay?
I feel like something's on the tip of your tongue.
Like it and subscribe.
No, we're talking about 5 stars, and I'm looking at 4 stars, and I would like to have a 5 star there too.
We will. You just have to be believing.
Gasperini
And if you
for
put
the coach.
Gasperini coaching the Nazionale after Spalletti, you're going to get the 50.
How about we focus on the third star?
Brazil's
for
going to be
the
biting their
Euro.
nails if
Okay.
Third one.
Gasperini goes.
All right.
Guys, anyway, thank you. Shop ItalianFootballTV.com.
.com.
We appreciate you for supporting us. And now let's return to the show.
Listen, his style, Gasperini's style, it's not something we just find out. This guy has been the maestro. This is the real maestro. Okay, so this guy here, you know, I don't want to hear any newspaper says, "Oh, with a little luck." They beat Liverpool. They went close to beat Manchester City a couple of years ago to make it out almost to the PSG to make it to the final of the Champions League. You know, day in and day out and year in and year out, Gasperini has beat the best team in Europe and in Italy. So he goes to the tribute even to bring players that they are unknown or they are quote unquote failure in different teams. Let me not make the names. I am so happy for CDK. To me, he was one of my favorite players, even when he was doing very poorly at AC Milan. I'll tell you the reasons why. Everybody was saying, this guy's got talent. Somebody has to be able to take it out and just let him run. Gasperini, he was finally, from day one, from the first day that this guy here put the feet in Bergamo and he's starting to play the first game in Serie A, boom, he scores. So I said, okay, how can that be? That 1 year under Pioli, not to take away anything from Pioli. Pioli is a great guy, a great coach, but Pioli was not capable to read the kid and to put the kid in the position to not to succeed or to score a lot of goals, to be a player, the players that they bought and they spend all of this money. Gasperini immediately. First of all, Atalanta does not take chances. Gasperini must have said to Percassi, I want this kid, bring him over here, and I'm going to show you. I'm going to put these kids in the position to succeed. Sure enough, that's what he did. Okay, so Guardiola, to me, still right now, it looks like Gasperini, like he's one of the maestro. I think Guardiola is studying Gasperini. It's not the other way around. Gasperini
He once said playing against the Gasperini team is like going to the dentist.
Yeah.
Even when...
That was Klopp.
Was it Klopp?
Yeah.
Oh.
I remember. We made a graphic on it. That's what.
He said
Okay.
something. What did he say about it? I'll find it in the meantime.
So he's capable. See, this is the thing that I wanted the rest of the... In Italy, we have a lot of great coaches. De Rossi is the last discovery that we had. De Rossi is listen, De Rossi, I mean, we didn't know that he was that good until he really took Roma to this different level. So what we are saying here is we knew what Gasperini was capable to do. We needed the proof.
No, it was Guardiola, Mike.
For you guys, for people,
Dentist?
Yeah.
you know, for the
Guardiola.
for the
We
doubters.
made the graphic because they played against Liverpool.
Listen, for the doubters, for the people that were doubting Gasperini intelligence on the soccer field, it's a no-brainer. I mean, I wish AC Milan will have the finance and will have the opportunity to sign somebody like that.
We'll talk about if Gasperini is going to stay or not later on. We could get into those rumors and if we think he should. Just one little note on Gasperini, because I think it's a perfect time, because you mentioned a couple of important things and you did as well. To anybody that thinks, because there is this argument, that a coach doesn't improve players or that a coach is just there to manage and, you know, the players that he has at his disposal are the players. If they have quality, they have quality. Guardiola. Gasperini is the perfect example of how a coach can make players better. Every single guy improves under him. Guys that are unknown because he puts them in a system to succeed. And this was the first year, and I had said this months ago, and I remember when we were talking about all the Italian teams in Europe, and I was asked, which team can go the furthest? And for me, it was always Atalanta, because they mix the physicality of the game with the technical quality and a depth that I don't think that they had, that Gasperini didn't have available to him forever. Like, they had the years with Ilicic and Papu Gomez and Zapata, but the guys coming in off the bench, were they really of a proper level? Not like this team. Even, Derun is out. Kolasinac was out for a long time. He wasn't even able to play the second half. Pasalic comes in. No matter what, they found the solutions. CDK came off as well. The next guy that comes in, he could become great. So it is a beautiful story, and I'm so happy. And the fact that Xabi Alonso, credit to Xabi Alonso, he did an unbelievable season.
Can't win them all, right?
But today, he got it wrong.
Yeah. And I just want to add real quickly, you know what the scary thing is? Gasperini got his first real taste of winning a real trophy. And this, I think, is going to be a wake-up call for all the Serie A teams next season. Now Atalanta automatically qualifying for the Champions League. Can I get a little
They were
bit more
already
money?
qualified.
No, I'm saying but I'm saying a straight without waiting for anything else, regardless. But it's always hard winning your first time, and once you win the first time, the rest usually tend to follow right after. So it goes to show a lot. This was a thing that was missing from his cabinet because he had everything else. He had incredible youth, plugging everyone on, amazing football, but winning a trophy was something that was missing. Now he wins one. Yeah, he's a little bit older, but he's a coach. He can coach for how long? I wonder if this is gonna open a door for the next trophies.
The only time he ever won a trophy was the Viareggio Cup in 2003 with Juventus. So never a professional trophy for Gasperini. He commented on that after the game, and he said, "I truly don't understand this thing about being judged by trophies. It's not like I'm any better now than I was this afternoon. Otherwise, only Inter and Juventus would win. Meanwhile, even Bologna wins this season. Verona wins by being saved from relegation. Lecce as well. Everyone has their own objectives." Obviously, this is a different way of looking at winning. And I'll say in my younger years, I would have disagreed. And I would have been like, no, it's about the trophies that you won. But I have to say he's definitely opened my eyes to just broadening the horizon of what it means to win. And it's overachieving. It's overcoming the limits that you have in front of you. So everything that he's done in his career has been a win. Now it's just the first time that he's rewarded with a trophy.
Listen, the hardware, like you just even prove it to everybody, the hardware is just the top, like it's like the cherry on the top of the cake. The silverware, whatever, hardware, silverware.
Hardware's computer.
Anyway, the silverware. How do we know that it's silver?
It's all right. It's all right.
Anyway, so hardware.
It's
is
not
actually
hardware.
All right. Just
So
don't worry.
This is
Don't
to tell
take
you,
the bait.
Gasperini goes a step above soccer. The guy is a motivator. Do you know every somebody that is got no business being on the field? Gasperini is capable to motivate that person, to put him on a level to compete against people that have been proven to be champions. Mm-hmm. He did it to Liverpool. He put them to shame. Mm-hmm. Gasperini, not by himself, he put the team on the position with his motivational speech. Whatever he does on the locker room or during training, he puts his player in the position to succeed, and to succeed not guessing around. The game today, it was not but a little bit of luck. Nobody can talk about luck. The game that Atalanta won today, it was hands down, well deserved. And Mike, you said before that when the momentum switch, I don't remember seeing any momentum switch.
In terms of the ball possession.
That's not a momentum.
After the 60th minute, they tend to go back, but that didn't change in
With
terms
all
of...
due respect, Mike, that's not a momentum change, because Atalanta, till the very end, is still was under control, and they let them play a little bit, but they were attacking them, and they put them on the position to get almost
They
to
just
take
played
the number
deeper.
4.
They played deeper.
Yeah, they had to.
No, that's what I'm saying.
But
I'm
it was
saying,
not a switch, a momentum switch.
I'm saying in terms of Leverkusen actually having the ball and holding the possession more compared to the first half.
Mike, they were outplayed in every single position.
But they
were
had more
outplayed.
possession in the second half.
So I respectfully disagree.
Okay, let's break this down.
Because if Guardiola wouldn't have won any trophy, yeah, he's a good coach. But if you don't win the trophy, you're not a great coach. If Michael Jordan would have won all the championship, yeah, you're a great player, but you're not the best.
Yeah, not top.
If you want to be the best, you have to win trophy. Okay, Maradona, 1986, he didn't have a great team, but he put his team on the back and he won a World Cup. Those, if you don't win at that level, if you don't win cups, yeah, you can be good, but you're never the top. Now, you said something about Gasperini.
Oh, no,
he
gonna
likes
attack me
it.
next.
He won the trophy, and now he won.
Yeah.
Is he gonna stay with Atalanta?
I didn't want to bring that
is he
up,
gonna
bro.
go with a big team now?
I didn't want to bring that
and
up,
win.
bro.
And now that he's got the taste of winning trophy, he wants to win more trophy. Yeah. Or does he have to wait another, years and years before he wins another trophy?
Gazzetta tomorrow. Let's see who's going to be
gonna
the
stay.
Before we get into that,
He's going to stay, Mike. He's going to stay.
Before we get into that, I want to break down this.
I don't know that.
I want to break down this winners thing, but one question that just popped into my mind because about how crazy Atalanta is as a story of a club.
Yeah.
If Atalanta in the next 5 years, 7 years, went to a Champions League final, would you be that surprised?
No.
No, I would not be surprised.
Would you be that surprised?
No.
They almost did it a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Isn't that's amazing.
Gaspalanta.
So there is room.
Gaspalanta.
There's room for this Atalanta side to get better. So I don't think he has to go elsewhere to win.
Yeah, no, there is room to get better. But before I was saying that they are the best in the Europa League, but we kept about 10 teams out of it.
Yeah.
You know, we kept the Manchester City, the Manchester United, Real
Well, not Man
Madrid.
United. Not Man United these days.
Well,
Not
but
even Champions League.
yeah, that if we're talking about the history of Man United, Man City, Real Madrid, Barcelona,
Sassuolo.
if you compete with that year and year out, you could get. It's going to be a year maybe that you can go if everything goes right, that you can go to the final, but you're not at that level of those teams that I just mentioned.
Let's break down the winning thing, because you mentioned about Gasperini, and I think it's just a framing perspective on what Gasperini means. For me, Gasperini's has been a winner. Besides this trophy won, he was a winner before this, and he was.
Yeah, you could be a winner.
Okay, so that's what he's arguing. He didn't say he's the best.
You could be a winner. You can win so many. Like I say, you can win so many. But if you don't win the cup, you're not on the next level. You're not on that level. Now, if you look at the last 20 years, okay, and he's talking about Inter, Milan, who has won the championship in the last 20 years? Atalanta hasn't won it. Lazio, it's always Inter, Milan,
Napoli.
Juventus,
Gaetano, I don't think it's a fair assessment.
But that's one
No.
year. Okay, so those teams, he might want to go to a team that is at that level that he can win every year.
Just put yourself in his shoes. Put yourself in his shoes. He's done so much.
Right.
He's done so much, and people had constantly tried taking away from him, diminishing him, saying,
Right.
"Yeah, but you never won a trophy."
Right.
And now, I remember him talking in a press conference before when a journalist brought this up, and he goes, "Okay, so this entire room, you are all journalists. None of you are winners. None of you are winners because you're not the director of your newspaper. You're not the CEO of your newspaper. You're not the owner." And basically, it's just reframing it, right? On like where you are in your life and overcoming the obstacles that you have in front of you that makes you a winner. And in your own life, just take your own example. Just because you're not the owner of the company that you work for.
No, it's not the same
Yeah, I
thing.
agree
How is
with
it not
that.
the same thing?
Winning the
It's
Champions
different.
League is not the same thing. But they
Yeah,
just
I agree.
asked him, and I don't think he gave a nice answer. You can always take it out if you want. But they just asked Gasperini, "Will you stay next year?" And his answer was, "I am married and I'm happy and I got 2 beautiful kids. But then a beautiful lady comes along. What do you do?"
Did he say that?
Are
He
you
said
serious?
that. He said
Why
that.
did you tell us this?
You can cancel if
No,
you
this
want.
is
You can-
good.
I didn't hear
You go. Yeah.
didn't
You
hear
go
Did he
back.
say it, Enrico? Yeah?
Yeah, he said
I
it
didn't
before
hear
the
this.
week. And
boy.
the guy was like,
Yeah, he's going to
I don't know if this is a
Milan.
good example. I don't know if you're giving a good example.
he's
But
starting
that's what he
rumors.
said.
So there's
Oh,
a
boy.
rumor.
Yes.
So this rumor starting. Gazzetta tomorrow, Milan.
Listen,
Napoli,
listen.
blah,
You
blah,
can
blah.
read it, but you heard it. The producer, may have Mr. Producer, he heard it too.
There's nothing wrong with that. So listen, let me just say something.
Yeah, you better fix this before your wife hears that.
Let me just say
Anto,
something to you.
Anto, we'll give you a second.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Let me say something to you, okay? I agree with your son for the simple fact that
That's his son.
Guardiola, Klopp, all of those big-time coaches of the most expensive team in Europe, all they did was bind the best, bring them inside their team, and they went up from time to time winning. On the PSG side, they actually failed, even by buying some of the best players. Gasperini, I will say, as we speak now, is the only coach that has won a European championship, the UEFA championship, being one of the teams that in England, somebody was saying that is number 16 in terms of amount of money spent. 18. Tell me if there is any coach.
I just said he's a great coach.
He's a great
became
coach and he's a winner.
Yeah.
Now
to
he
me,
is. Now he
he's
is.
a winner.
He's a
That
winner
was
now.
not because of they won today. To me, he's a winner.
I agree with you. And by the way, first time an Italian team has won the Europa League in 25 years.
Excellent.
I knew there was one little stat they were missing. And we had the conversation about Maurizio Sarri's quotes, where he said the only thing that Italy's lacking compared to the Premier League is the revenue. And he said if Italian teams had the revenue that the English teams did, you'd see us winning a lot more. Yeah. And we all agreed with that. I mean, you could chime in.
Yeah, no, just the last thing on that, because you read something about Gasperini that said, am I a better coach now than I was this morning? Well, if you would have lost this game 3-0 and you wouldn't have touched the ball and Leverkusen would have been all over you and you play a terrible game and you lost 2 finals in a week, yeah, you're not a good coach. To me, you're not a great coach.
I agree with the guy.
Okay?
No, just because just because you make a mistake doesn't mean that it ruins your entire career.
Okay, but
not a career.
Yeah, it doesn't. You can't judge your entire career. You're not a good coach just because you lose one game.
No, but this is not. We're talking about to win a cup. Okay, he played a final in the last week. He played 2 finals. Okay, if you don't put the team inside the field in order to win, this today he showed that he's a great coach. That he did everything perfect. He put that team perfect. He had everybody mentally, physically motivated to play this game, and he has to get some of the credit.
And I also
a lot of the credit goes to the players because the players were the ones that performed.
Both things can be true.
And I just want to add to yours. And he says he's not a better. He's the same kind of coach. I disagree. I think he looked over the Juventus match and he improved how they're gonna play. They obviously didn't play. They look like 2 different teams if you watch a Juventus match.
How are you guys telling Gasperini if he's
I can't have my opinion?
Guys,
that's what I think.
Let me say something.
I'm just saying, to me, that's crazy.
What's crazy? He didn't improve?
No, he didn't improve. Just from
he didn't
today.
improve from the game.
This was his game plan. This is his style. The results caught up to what he was doing, but he was doing this forever.
Okay, then why did they look so bad against Juventus? If
the Juventus game is completely different game. Where Juventus scored
first,
Juventus scored first, and then Juventus bunker and sit in. It's completely different than Leverkusen.
But they didn't look like 2 different teams?
They look like 2 different teams because they're 2 completely different games.
I understand that, but he also improved.
The game against Juventus doesn't make him a loser, and the game against here doesn't just make him a winner.
I didn't say it made him a loser, but now he's finally a champion.
Mike, listen to me.
He's finally a champion now.
Mike, listen to me. With all due respect. I walked inside this room today before the game started. It was 10 minutes before. And I see a bunch of chickens and pigeons over here. I said, oh.
Where'd you go to the zoo?
He said, oh, Leverkusen 3-1. The guy, Leverkusen 2-0. This guy, and then, Leverkusen. They put money all over the place, Leverkusen.
Not me.
I said to myself, I asked Marco, I said, does Grella thinks that Leverkusen is going to win? And no, he said, no, he thinks that Atalanta. So then I'm not the only one over here. Then Bocca di Fuoco comes in and he said Atalanta. And then the Comandante comes in and he said Atalanta. I said, whoa.
All right, well, he came in when it was 2-0, first of all. But also, second of all, just for clarity, Antonio's speaking about some of our friends, Ryan and Matt, who put money on the game. And but they put Leverkusen on. That's fair.
The pressure.
51 games unbeaten. It doesn't make them stupid for making that
you guys with
decision.
The stats, the stats guys over here, the star guys, okay? Those 2 guys. Listen, the stats don't mean anything.
That means
all right? It doesn't mean anything. Okay, this is the perfect proof. Okay, so the game has to be played, number 1, and then you have the win, and you have the win convincingly. Atalanta, they destroyed Bayern. They totally destroyed them. So what I'm trying to say is this: at the end of the day, Gasperini did not let what's his name? Xavi, Alonso, player think. Those guys, they were still guessing themselves around on the field. They were not given. They had no time to think. They maybe 1 or 2 passes here and there. The scheme that they had, it totally fell apart.
Yeah. So I'll admit, I thought Bayer Leverkusen was going to win just because I covered a lot of their games and I watched a lot of their games and these guys just couldn't die. But I also said they've never played a team that's as good as Atalanta. They didn't know what they were going to be matched for. So a lot of their games, it was completely different. And the thing that gave me hope was having watched the match against Karabakh where they conceded 2 goals. I'm like, all right, hold on. If you give this space to Atalanta, that's where something special can happen. One other shout out before we end is to the American ownership.
Oh, yes.
Stephen Pagliuca,
nice.
Owner of the Boston Celtics. They own 55% of the club. And I had brought this up a year ago when I had met him. The intelligence that he had where he said, okay, I know what I'm good at. I know what I'm not good at. I know that I can help this Atalanta in one way, but I don't want to mess with the sporting side of things because Percassi has done a remarkable job. They deserve a lot of credit for that as well, because there are a lot of rich owners who could have come into Atalanta and been like, all right, you guys are small time. We'll come in. We're the big dogs. We decide all the things now. And the fact that he left that management team in charge and just, we'll help on the marketing side. We'll help bring it, introducing stats more into your organization. Let's tinker with these things and try to build something, a long-term project. They deserve a lot of credit for that. Yeah. And I'm happy that today they also get the result of a lot of hard and smart work.
Yeah, and I just want to add to that, Mark, a good point on that is we see so many teams that they come in and their ego gets in the way, be like, oh, I bought it. It's my club. It's my money. I think I know better than you, or whatever the case is. And, there's a lot of examples throughout the leagues, throughout the teams, or whatever the case is. But yeah, by knowing your place, by knowing your role, what everyone's good at, you stick on your side, and they stayed quiet behind the scenes and did what they're supposed to. And now they're reaping a lot of the
you know what it is?
the rewards.
It's
Listen,
respect. It's a matter of respect.
This could be a lessons, Mike. This could be a lessons from Oak Street that they just took over Inter to just come in, just give a look at the of the group and said, okay, they just won the Campionato. Maybe we needed to keep the guys that they know to play soccer in the field, and the guys that they know how to deal with the players, dealing with the players.
You're right.
Exactly.
So now they're gonna stay behind the screen over there, just make a few other moves in terms of economically that they're gonna try to fit within the project that Inter will have, and then they're gonna try to. I enjoy the only idea that this other Oak Tree, they're Americans. I mean, Americans are improving Italian soccer. So they're investing a lot of money. We have the Cesena owner over here, Picciaccia, that it's already another winner that they brought a team to Serie B. Now we have Oak Tree that they took over Inter. And now we have
45% of teams in Serie A next season will be foreign owned.
Beautiful.
So 8 North American, 1 Indonesian, and that's not counting if Venezia or Palermo get promoted. Otherwise, it will be 50%. And I think you're saying that just because I think that they can help a lot on some of the decisions that Serie A haven't made in the proper way in the years, because there's a voting system. And a lot of the votes had not been to put themselves out there in an international market and just be so focused on Italy, which is a great thing that you want to respect the country that you're within. But if we don't globalize, if we don't put marketing efforts around the world, then we can never get to the revenues that the Premier League had. And Premier League made amazing decisions decades ago that help them reap the rewards now. So I think that's part of your reasoning.
Right. That's why we have a Cardinale with AC Milan, and then we have the Friedkins in Rome. Those guys are smart enough to say, hey, yes, Commisso, of course. Rocco is it's the perfect example of that.
Saputo with Bologna.
So what we're saying,
what
we're saying is that those guys are so smart. They said, hey, listen, our job,
they know their role.
It's financing, it's marketing, and it's putting the team in the position to succeed economically and with the revenues and with selling and buying a bunch of players. And they understand that the Friedkins, for example, they understand that De Rossi is the one that can bring the team to a different level, and they put their trust into De Rossi. Cardinale calls Ibrahimovic now because Ibrahimovic still has to prove it. But he didn't say, hey, I'm in charge right now. I'm going to do A, B, C, and D. No, he's not. Okay, it's not a Berlusconi. So he knows that his limit. And so he says to Ibra, said, hey, I trust your judgment. Work with those two guys. Make things happen. Commisso is one of the smartest guy. Unfortunately, we don't have Joe with us anymore. But Joe was a very, very, very smart direttore. So
hopefully they could celebrate a trophy next week.
Oh, that would be so nice.
If we could get 2 Italian teams to win. Sorry, Mike.
No, and
Conference League and
who cares about Olympiacos? No, we won. Not feel sorry for him. No, we want Rocco to win. Right, Mike?
If Fiorentina win, they also get an extra spot for Serie A.
Mike, don't we want Rocco to win? It's...
He's in difficulty
Mike,
now.
This is the Italian football TV. We want Italians to win.
Yeah.
Okay?
Whatever. Best team to win.
By the way, you mentioned Roma. Important to note that with Atalanta winning the Europa League, if Atalanta remain in 5th place, Roma will be playing Champions League football next season.
Oh, my God.
Even though they finished in 6th.
Oh, that would be just rubbing it in to all of this EPL.
6 teams. And if Fiorentina win the Conference League and finish in 8th place, we will have 9 teams in Europe And that could be Napoli or it could be Torino.
Yeah.
Hopefully Napoli. Hopefully
Imagine
Napoli.
Torino go back to
That,
Europe.
any final thoughts?
No, congratulations to Bergamo, Atalanta, and all the tifosi, and all the people that watch from all around the world, and they are for Italian football.
Beautiful.
I have a
We're gonna go
congratulation to do
celebrate.
to my tennis partners, Mirko Lorenzoni is from Bergamo, biggest Atalanta's fan, and I want to make again another shout out to Riccardo. Riccardo, if you can get another shirt with the UEFA shirt, the UEFA Championship shirts, and make Giampiero sign it just the front, just by under the logo. That will be spectacular.
How about Martin too?
Of course, Martin Nerone, but the whole team, and she has to sign it too. She has to sign, okay? Riccardo De Room, okay? So
All right.
we're waiting. I know you're gonna do it. So
Guys, thank you for watching. We'll talk to you soon. Ciao,
Forza
ragazzi.
Atalanta.
and Forza Bari.
Forza Dea.